The following is for informational purposes only. For medical advice, please see a medical professional.
Welcome to Staying Alive with Margaret and Susy. Today, we are at this episode, we're going to talk about exercise.
Oh
And we're
boy.
talking about exercise specifically for healthy aging. And we've talked about the importance of exercise in other episodes, how it helps with anti-inflammatory lifestyle. We know it's an important part of our health and it prevents a variety of diseases. Today we're focusing on exercise for healthy aging, and what we know is that there are four components of that: endurance, strength, flexibility, and balance. And while those four are important throughout our lives, it's not uncommon to take them for granted when we're younger because strength and flexibility and balance might just be, hopefully, a natural part of who we are as young people. But
hmm
later in life, it becomes a little more
It
challenging.
becomes more challenging. Yes. Yes,
And
it
we
does.
we might know that we should be doing something, but we become couch potatoes or we're facing some barrier
hmm
to accomplishing our goals in all these
Right.
areas. And
Right.
um, for some of us, we know it's hard physically, and or we've been active and suddenly we get injured, or we start
Right.
thinking, I'm too old, why should I do it anyway? And
Or accepting that I just have aches and pains. It's just the way it's going to be.
yeah,
And I don't think that keeps me from exercising.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now
So,
Susie and I don't accept that, and
well, it's
we're
really,
gonna.
and I know it's really hard. I mean, there are definitely things that impact it. I've been there myself,
Yeah,
and I mean, sometimes you do get injured and you have to take a break, but
yeah.
that's not what we're talking about. Yeah.
So we're gonna cover these four areas, and we're gonna break it down, and we're gonna include what we know and some personal experiences around it.
hmm
Endurance is the first one we're going to talk about, and that's also what was known very much in the 80s: aerobic activity, aerobics
hmm
classes. You
Right.
might remember, like, that famous actress in her gym clothes and the
I had
the
that. I had that tape.
the tapes we used to exercise to, and the step classes, and the it was all about heart health. I mean, we had
Right.
realized at that point in history how important aerobics were to heart health, which is a
Right.
major issue in human beings. And so suddenly we're out there running, we're walking, we're doing the aerobics classes, everything we could. It was all about aerobics. And
Right. Right.
eventually I got to the point in life where the doctor said, okay, no more running, Margaret. You're definitely going to need a knee replacement. And could you just switch to walking now? And so then we realized, I realized, and we kind of knew in society at that point that walking just as good. And you
Right.
can, walking 20 minutes times 3 times a day is just as good as walking for an hour. And
Right.
yes, you want to keep it in a target heart rate. And I just really got into walking in the last 20 years, and
Yeah. Me
that's what I've
too.
been doing.
Yeah.
That's the main thing I've been doing.
Yeah,
And
there are aerobic classes for people when they're older. There's a Zumba Gold class at our local YMCA, and dancing is a great aerobic exercise.
mhm.
Bicycle riding, those are great aerobic
Swimming. I
exercise.
know a lot of people who've switched to swimming and who
I
just
think swimming is
love
great.
swimming.
What's interesting about swimming is you get your heart rate up, but you don't obviously you don't sweat. You know what I mean? So yeah, swimming's a great exercise.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Swimming is great because it does endurance and strengthens more
hmm
different muscle groups in your body and helps with
Yeah,
flexibility. So
it
yeah,
feels good too. It
yeah.
really feels good.
So
Yeah.
so I I was totally focused on endurance in my aging
Mm-hmm.
years. And then the doctor said to me, "Wait a second, what about your strength?" And they
Mm-hmm.
actually told me, you've reached the age group now where actually strength and balance are more important. You've got the
Yeah.
aerobics covered, Margaret. Like your heart healthy, you've got endurance.
Yeah.
Now let's start focusing on these other things. And
Right.
so
Right. Yeah.
I said to them, well, I I feel like I'm strong. Like, I mean, gosh, I'm
Mm-hmm.
walking all the time. I do some yoga. Isn't that good enough? And I come to find out that our muscles start losing muscle mass after 35 years of age,
Yeah, they do.
and
It's going, yeah.
strength is critical for balance, which they really want us to focus on as we age. And
Mm-hmm.
so, we need to come up with some type of strength training that creates
Right.
tension and load on the muscles because that's what
Mm-hmm.
signals the bone cells to form more tissue.
Yep.
And
Weight bearing exercise. You need that weight bearing exercise. Yeah.
and especially in the fracture prone areas, which are hips, spine, and wrists.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to keep doing our strength training. And Susie, I know like you live in an area where sometimes you can't go outside all day every day, and you've got
Mm-hmm.
an at-home program to tell folks about.
Yeah. I used to teach a class called, well, we called it staffer size because staff would come in and exercise on their lunch break.
Oh.
And it was circuit training. And basically, circuit training is a program that you can design yourself. It's usually between 6 and 8 exercises that you do maybe only about 6 reps of, 6 to 10 reps of, and then you rotate. So say you do like 8 bicep curls, and then you do 6 squats, and then you do some upward rows. The idea is to kind of vary the upper and lower body. So you can use free weights, you can use your own body for resistance. And you'll do those series of 6 or 7 exercises and you repeat, for just a few reps, repeat it like 3 times. And that usually takes about 30 minutes. You can take a short rest in between each set. And it's really great because what it does is it's some strength training as well as some endurance. And it energizes you. It was a really great thing for staff who were on their lunch hour because they could have that half-hour workout and then go eat. So I just designed a circuit training program for my husband because he hates to go to the gym. So
So you're doing it at home,
yeah, we're
which
doing
is
it at home with free
a
weights.
great idea. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to decide for yourselves. Am I more motivated if I go to a gym with other people?
Right.
Am I more
Right.
not wanting to do it with other people? I'd rather do it at home.
Right.
I'm more likely
Yes.
to do it at home.
I find that for myself, if I go to a class, I am more motivated because other people are doing it. So why can't I?
Mm-hmm.
However, getting to the class is not the motivating, I'm not as motivated to actually do that part.
Okay.
So it's tricky. And I've been a yo-yo exerciser my whole life. I mean, I do really great. I go to classes. I did Pilates for a year once, and so it's just you got to keep moving. You got to keep doing something.
Yeah.
It's a challenge though. Yeah.
So hopefully just the aging process itself, I mean, for me, I think that is a motivator for me because I want to keep
Right.
walking. Like like
Right.
our goal, if possible, we may not be able to do it. If possible, we want to stay out of a wheelchair our whole lives.
Right. Right. Well, I
We
used
really
to
want to.
Yeah, I used to work for the Meals on Wheels program, and one of my jobs was to assess clients, and one of the things that we assessed them for was their activities of daily living.
Hmm.
Can you do the activities of daily living? Things like getting yourself dressed. Can you
Let
tie your own shoes? If you want to stay independent, you got to be able to do things for yourself, or else it becomes awfully difficult to do so. And
let's
most of
move
us
on to
want to
flex.
stay in, most of us want to stay independent. Yeah.
Yeah, let's move on to flexibility because what
Yeah.
Susie's talking about
That's a
is
lot
the
of it.
perfect segue to that.
Yeah.
I know I once asked because I think the most frequent inflexibility I've seen in aging people is in the shoulder girdle, like frozen shoulder.
Mm,
And I asked
yeah.
a trainer,
Yeah.
"Is that the most common?" And they said, "Yes,
Oh,
absolutely."
wow.
So that affects dressing. So tell us what you know about that because you've worked with that aging population, Susie, about
Well,
it.
shoulder things are extremely difficult to heal from. Like people who strain their shoulders, of course, people who injure their shoulders, the three things: knee replacement, hip replacement, shoulder replacement. Shoulder replacement is the most hard to recover from. So shoulders are really important because if you can't pull things, if you can't support things, let's face it, it takes your arms to do that, and your shoulders are so important in that process.
Yeah.
So I think that
Well, I can
any kind
tell
of
you.
things you can do for flexibility of those joints is going to be helpful to keep yourself independent.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think right here I'm going to also introduce physical therapy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much every person I know over a certain age who's doing good health care has been to a physical therapist at least once for something or another.
Mm-hmm.
And I have friends who have a physical therapist for their shoulder, a physical therapist for
Mm-hmm.
their
I've done
knee,
that.
a physical
Yeah.
therapist for their hip,
Yeah.
like all
I've
in
gone
one
for all of
body,
those.
all
Yeah.
in one body. And then you can go back for refreshers if you need to.
Mm-hmm.
And I have
Yeah.
everything printed out. I have an entire file folder of
Hey,
the
my physical
exercises.
therapist sends videos.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So it's really nice. And they really are amazing professionals. And they teach you exercises that you can do. I I one time had a bulging disc in my back, and my physical therapist said, "You have to do these exercises for the rest of your life." Have I always done it? Not always, but I always keep that in the back of my mind. And
You
I can
have,
tell when my back starts to feel a little iffy, it's time to do those exercises for sure.
okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And so don't forget that physical therapy, you can request it. If you're a senior and you're on Medicare,
Mm-hmm.
Medicare covers physical therapy.
That's right.
All you have to
That's
do
right.
is talk to your primary care doctor and say, listen, my shoulder's becoming more and more immobile.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a physical therapist I can see and give me a
Right.
referral. And they're always going to want to start you there. And hopefully, for any type of joint issue, physical therapy can do what's needed.
Right. Usually.
You don't want to necessarily go right in and get a joint replacement. No doctor
Right.
would want you to do that. They'd want you to
Right.
do all the physical therapy that you could to try and get your flexibility back in
Yeah.
any given area.
In Sometimes it's also a matter of strength too, because I know with my back, it was a matter of strengthening my abdominal muscles to support my back. So that's where Pilates came in, which
So
is an exercise for both strength and flexibility.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's all interrelated in that
Mm-hmm.
way,
It is. Yeah.
and balance too, which we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
So
So I mean, you want
let's
to be able to do things. I know it, because it becomes very frustrating. I've already experienced some of this myself. It's like my grandkids will say, "Just get down on the floor, Grandma."
mhm,
And sometimes I'm like, "Well, I don't really want to do that, but I can." But it's not as easy as it used to be. Yeah.
right. And then there's the issue with stairs. Like
Oh
if you're a
yeah.
senior who's hospitalized and you've got stairs at home, they're not going to let you go home if you can't navigate those stairs. They're going to put you right
Right.
in some type
Right.
of nursing home until you can be rehabilitated. And some people
Yeah.
don't get to go home again.
Stairs
It
are a problem for sure. Although statistically, more people fall on flat ground than they do on the stairs because they're aware that they're on stairs. You know, the awareness factor goes in there. It's like, oh, I'm on stairs. I need to be careful. But yeah.
well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like for flexibility. Like I have friends who and family who don't really want to come to my house because I have 18 steps because they can't do
Oh,
it anymore. So I'm
oh,
still on
yeah.
flexibility here when I'm suggesting like you want to be able to do these things throughout life and you don't want your life to be narrowed because of it. Like I know
Right.
Susie can come to my house and she can walk those 18 steps. Not everyone can. And so
Yes, yeah.
you need to look at, okay, do I want my life to be, am I willing to live with this or not? That
Mm-hmm.
if you've pursued all the physical therapy you can and there's nothing more to be done, sometimes you might want to accept your doctor's recommendation. Okay, you're healthy enough and you're now at the point we want you to say get a knee replacement. And
Or you may get to a point where you just can't do stairs at some point in your life. But I mean, but that's not the first place to go, for sure.
Well, you know, Susie, that I got to the point where I couldn't do stairs and I got a knee replacement. And
Mm-hmm.
now I can do
Mm-hmm.
stairs.
Right.
Now I can do
Right.
stairs. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for knee replacements.
Mm-hmm.
That though that is the joint where it has been most progressed. I mean, you may know somebody who's had a knee replacement 10, 20 years ago and it was a horror story, but they don't do it the same way now. And I'm not going
Right.
to
Right.
make any recommendations one way or another, but I will tell you personally, it changed my life. I
Mm-hmm.
was not able to bend my leg enough to rotate around in a bicycle for 20
Mm-hmm.
years
Oh,
because my knee
wow.
was bending less and less and less. Now I can
Wow.
do that. Now I can do that.
Yeah, that's
So,
great. Yeah.
so think, if all else fails in flexibility, talk to your doctor about whether or
Mm-hmm.
not you're a candidate for that. And don't put it off because at a certain age, we've aged out of the safety for getting a joint replacement. So
The other
it's
thing
tough.
for flexibility that can really help is yoga. Sometimes there's some yoga classes for they're called gentle yoga or
Hmm.
restorative yoga, or I actually take a class called Yoga for Healing that I started after I'd had surgery because I was afraid to hurt myself, and it's wonderful.
Hmm.
And so there are resources out there. This particular one happens to be at a YMCA, but there are resources out there for people to do that and it can really help with flexibility because a good yoga teacher can really help you gain
Yes.
flexibility. Yeah.
And let's segue right into balance on yoga
Yeah.
because there's nothing
Yeah.
better than yoga for balance in my experience. Like
Yeah.
being able to stand on one leg
Hmm.
for
But
an extended
also,
period of time.
our YMCA actually has a balance class that I've been to, and they teach you some exercises to do just for balance. Yeah. So,
Such as,
oh, standing on one foot or stepping. I mean,
yeah,
I don't remember all the exercises right off the top of my head, but yeah, they're just basically balance exercises and
yeah.
they're poses, you
I
know.
can remember being told, like, just walk up and down your house, lifting one leg up and holding it for a second, and then the
Mm-hmm.
next leg up and holding it,
Mm-hmm.
like
That kind of thing,
almost at
yeah.
a 90-degree angle,
Yeah.
and that really helps with balance.
Because balance
Or
it is a major problem as you age, especially if you've had any head injuries or any kind of thing like that. Balance can be a problem because fall risk is huge.
Well, it also has to do with inner ear issues that
Right,
occur as we
right.
age, so balance becomes an
Yeah.
issue, and
I have a
sometimes
family member who
medication.
falls regularly, and I've had a couple falls myself. So now I've noticed when I go to the doctor, they always ask you, have you had any falls in the last year?
They do, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's important. It's really important to have good balance. So anything you can do, strength training, flexibility, those all help with balance because the stronger your legs are and your supporting muscles, the less likely you are to fall.
Yeah. And when you fall, there's risk of bones breaking,
Oh,
and
concussion. Yeah.
we now
Yeah.
know, like, there's increased mortality once
Yeah.
we have a broken hip or something and
Yeah. No, it can be
can't walk.
very, very limiting when you fall. And I hate to say it, people die when they fall. There's been some incidents of that.
You mean
So
from, with head injuries and such?
yeah, or break your neck, or yeah, I mean,
Mm,
my husband broke his back falling off a ladder. So so these things can be very serious.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, all of these things, endurance, strength, flexibility, and balance are important
Hmm.
as we go through life. But in
Yeah.
general, older adults are told, if you can only focus on two, strength and balance are the most important.
Sure.
That's what I've
Yeah.
been told.
Yeah.
And it's never too late to start. I mean, I
No.
actually didn't
No.
start strength training till I was 70. And although we now know that it's best to start weight training in our 40s because we're starting to lose our muscle mass then, there's nothing wrong with starting at 70. And I've
Oh yeah.
noticed
Yeah.
after a year of strength training a huge difference.
Right.
And I feel so much stronger. And and so for
And it
some
can
of
help your
us,
bones so much. I
mhm,
actually reversed my osteopenia when I was in my 50s with strength training.
wow.
And yeah, so you have to, don't ever give up. Don't ever give up,
Yeah.
and never feel like you can't do it because you're too old, or it's just like, it might be that you can only do a chair yoga class. It might be that you just go for a 10-minute walk. It
Mm.
might be that you just stretch out, in terms of flexibility. Maybe you just lay down somewhere and stretch out and maybe lift your leg up or stretch against a table and kind of stretch your Achilles tendon. So don't be afraid to just try little things to help yourself.
And if you find that you're just not motivated, like I'm motivated,
Mm-hmm.
and so you might be
Mm-hmm.
listening to me and saying, like, I'm not like you, Margaret. I am not going to do any of these things. Then
Mm-hmm.
get the help that you need. Figure
Right.
out what help do you need with your motivation.
Or yeah, do it with
Try,
a friend, try to call a friend and say, hey, we want to do this. That helps a
yeah.
lot.
And if you can't even do that, then talk to your doctor and see if there's some type of psychological help you need. Is it a
Mm-hmm.
depression issue, or do you just really want a professional at your side? Can you afford a personal trainer? Would you like to gift that to yourself as like just a really nice way of caring for yourself? Do you want to call your doctor and say, I need a physical therapist. I've
Mm-hmm.
got this shoulder frozen. Like, I want a physical therapist.
Or access your local YMCA. Did we already
Mm-hmm.
say that? I think that's important to realize that there are those resources out there.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
and
pursue every avenue to achieve your goals.
because one thing we didn't mention, and I think is important to realize, is that exercise also makes you feel better emotionally. It changes your hormones in your brain and activates things that make you actually feel better. So if that might be a motivator for some people, if you're feeling kind of blah, I don't want to do this, and then you actually do it, you feel better.
Oh, that is such a good point. And I think that's a pretty good place to end up on.
Yeah,
The point is to never give up.
yeah.
Susie and I plan to do whatever it takes to live life to the fullest, to the very end, And we want that for you too. And we hope this helps you a little bit to
Yeah,
achieve that.
yeah. Enjoy your life.
So I think that's it for today.
Well, great.
So until next time, we
We
are
are staying alive.
You've been listening to Staying Alive with Margaret and Susy. This show is hosted by Margaret Cooley and Susie Hymas. To subscribe to our show, leave a comment or ask a question, please visit stayingalivewithmargaretandsusy.com. Our podcast is available on all major podcast platforms. If you've enjoyed our program, please feel free to leave us a 5-star review. Thanks for listening.